Hi, this is Brett Atterbury from Pro-Life Magazine, and today I'm very honored to have with me Karen Patoda from A Baby's Breath, which is a crisis pregnancy center.
Yes.
So we're here on site in your Collegeville location, and I wanted to learn a little bit about what you do. So if you could just start and tell us a little bit about the history and how you got started and why you decided to start A Baby's Breath.
Well, I did many things in pro-life. I spoke in schools and I helped politicians get in office, and I just had a desire to do more in directly helping mothers and fathers and families in crisis pregnancies. So we had a Run for Life. I guess that was 13 years ago.
Oh, so a long time ago.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were celebrating our 13th birthday, August 15th. So we had a run and generated enough money for the first year's rent. So we said, hey, let's just start a crisis center.
Hey, why not?
So
Did you know what you were getting into?
No.
Of course
So
not.
four people sitting around my kitchen table said, blindly, let's just do this. So we opened up August 15th. I gathered, enough volunteers to start the center, and we were off and running August 15th. So there's been lots of trials and errors with it along the way, but another reason, which I have up on my website, for wanting to help directly is when I had my first child, I was reminded of a friend who had an abortion. And when I looked in his eyes, I saw what she didn't have the joy of seeing. So that inspired me to do all the pro-life work before starting A Baby's Breath. But it continues to inspire me.
Okay.
All of my children, seeing them grow and the joys that they bring to my life. I think about all the women that don't have that chance to see their children. So we opened up 13 years ago, and as I was mentioning to you, for the first 5 years, I was everything. I was
Chief cook, bottle washer.
just everything, and in about 2005, we had 3 centers, and I had to figure out the plan for how to make it work.
Okay, and these are all in the Philadelphia area?
Yes, we have 4 centers in the area: Jeffersonville, Collegeville, Wayne, and Warminster.
Okay.
So I had to sort of figure out what recipe it took to execute one of these centers, and it not being all just me. So I came up with a structure of A Baby's Breath.
Okay.
And it was a director, a general manager, and a donation coordinator. It was all the parts of what I did, separated out by different jobs. And so that's how we started propagating and making new centers and replenishing the existing centers. So we had this center here in Collegeville start in 2005. The one in Bryn Mawr actually moved up to Wayne just this past year. Started in actually 2007. We started in St. David's. Then we went to Bryn Mawr. Now we're in Wayne. The one in Warminster just opened up last year, 2012.
Okay. And if you could talk about the mission. So what does a crisis pregnancy center try to do? Who does it serve? How does it try to help?
Well, I am not a trained social worker. I just knew places like this needed to exist. So I had to think out what is the definition of crisis, and it's not just life or death of the baby. It is where all of your support systems, things are just out of control in your life to the point where you would actually consider choosing or not choosing life. So it could be the crisis of, life for the baby, but mostly, I would say 90% of all of our clients are walking in here saying, it's not a great time for me to be pregnant, how can you help me? So it's usually they don't have a job, they don't have a home, they don't have enough education to support their family. They have unique goals, and we try and have them figure those goals out to get out of crisis. So the intake question is, when do you see yourself in a better place? That's our question of how to figure out what the crisis really is.
Okay.
So.
And how do they, a young woman or a woman in a crisis pregnancy situation, how do they tend to find you?
Mostly by word of mouth.
Okay.
So all the social organizations in Norristown know about us. But it's just like any other business. When you start it, you have to be prepared to get the word out in your community on what you do. And then it kind of is a roller coaster. We have right now, our oldest center has about 60 active clients. This center, which is our second oldest, has about 40 to 50 active clients. Down in Bryn Mawr, we're moving it to a place that's closer to public transportation, because one of the things that we found, if they can't find you, it's really hard. And it was just, it's really difficult with just a tiny door and a hard to find location with, speeding traffic going past for them to find.
So you don't have these massive signs outside with flashing arrows?
Well, in Bryn Mawr, you can't do that.
Yeah.
There's restrictions, so we try a number of different mediums for advertising, but the internet is the key.
The internet's the key?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
New clients will come to us through the internet. We put up free ads up on Craigslist.
Okay.
And we get a lot of clients through that.
Because I was going to ask you, so the internet's a big place. Is it primarily like searching on Google? Is it Craigslist? It sounds like it's
all the
more
search engines really. If they key up pregnant, they'll find us.
Okay.
Which you can pay for the elevated priority on the Google search, but the internet has really been helpful in giving us exactly what we do for clients, because we offer pregnancy counseling, parenting classes, prenatal classes, and material assistance.
Okay.
But the secular organizations sometimes don't like to recognize us for what we do, so they'll put us under support groups or something that's not related to a crisis pregnancy.
Okay.
But we work.
They don't make it clear what you're really.
It's really absolutely identifying ourselves by ourselves.
Okay.
So,
tell me a little about the process. So, a woman with a crisis pregnancy, she finds you on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a telephone call or a direct visit. So, as soon as that person walks in, tell me a little bit about what happens.
There's an intake that is the formal intaking of information from the client in establishing what her situation is. Typically, she's not going to come into a pro-life organization and say, guess what, I'd like to abort my baby. But how we figure that out is if she's not signing up for the parenting classes or additional pregnancy counseling sessions, then we kind of try and figure out if there's reasons why she's not going to be coming back. We try and handle that visit, though, like they would never come back to us again.
Okay.
So we hand them...
You assume that you've got... You have to assume this is your only chance.
Yeah.
If you will. Okay.
So this was something that I developed being the novice social worker that I am, and I'm an actual engineer by training.
Okay.
So I wanted some way to teach novice social workers like myself how to work with clients. So they hand this to the client and they identify the goals that they see themselves needing to accomplish to get through their crisis.
Okay.
And then what we do on an ongoing basis, we give them homework that they go off. They have phone numbers. They have things they have to do in between their visits. But if this is the only thing we do for them is give them a roadmap out of crisis, then we've done our job.
Okay.
So the main mission you had asked is to help a mother to see her child take his or her first breath. If we've done that, great. But if we can help them not return in a crisis pregnancy, that's even better.
So giving them something like this, which is, like you said, it's very simple, and certainly someone in a crisis situation, the thinking can be unclear, of course.
Absolutely.
And you're giving them kind of a chance to look at this, write some things down, and maybe kind of have some clarity, a little more clarity about
Absolutely.
what's going on.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. You've been doing this for 13 years. It's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of the obstacles that can pop up about either keeping a woman in a crisis pregnancy from coming in the first place,
mm-hmm.
or maybe they do come in, but you never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the roadblocks and the obstacles and the things that you've seen? What are some of the common themes that
of them not coming, or
not coming, and then coming but not coming back?
So what would make them choose to go in another direction? That is a challenge to answer, because we don't know what kind of stresses they have in that situation. Sometimes they'll be choosing life here in the office, but then go home to their parents' home, or with the boyfriend, and whatever means the most to them. If they're dominant forces at home that want them to go on to Planned Parenthood, there's really not a whole lot we can do. But if they can leave here with knowing there's some hope in choosing life, that they're not going to be alone in this decision, which is what we try and establish here. We try and have a nice orderly center so that it's not envisioning a blizzard of children's toys all over the place,
right,
or
right.
we try, to try and keep
Well, when
the
I came in,
center.
it was great.
It's a
Or did you do
challenge.
that just because I was coming in?
But being with the women has been one of the joys about doing this work. It's what's driven me past a lot of challenges and obstacles in just keeping the center alive, period. I love working with the volunteers who give their time and share with that same joy of working with the families.
What are some of the, you talked a little bit about the services that you offer. Can you go into detail on the ones, maybe 2 or 3 that you think are the key?
Our most used service is the parenting class.
Okay.
They're here in group once a month, and individually. Sometimes the crisis doesn't hit till after the baby's born. And I had this conversation with a nun, Sister Nora from Cora from Philadelphia. And at the time, I didn't have my baby store. So I said, Sister, I really want to work with these women and help them not return in another crisis pregnancy, address the hard issues. She said, well, what I do is I put all the baby items in a closet. And she assigns a baby dollar value, or she did, and that's how we got the women to start coming for the parenting classes. So we put in the parenting classes things like budgeting and parenting topics, just ad hoc things that keep them coming and tethered into our system of support. So, you can't exactly time when they're going to accomplish their goals, because some are related to a school calendar, some are just, it's really hard to get out of the lifestyle that they're in. They're just hooked in there. So it takes some time for them to figure out that they're worth more. And that's kind of what we do. We give them that assurance that they are worth more and worth waiting for, so they don't have to go reach out into the wrong places. The prenatal class, which is going on right now, that is also offered once a month in group format. We have volunteer nurses that come and just teach the basic concepts of fetal development, safety, nutrition, and other ad hoc topics that come up if they have any questions with regard to their pregnancy.
Okay.
So.
Now, you showed me it on the way in. You gave me a little tour. You showed me a very interesting room,
Right.
which had a very interesting machine in it.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? And also talk about, from your perspective, since you've had that machine, what kind of impact you think it has had?
Well, that is our weapon of last defense. We don't use it we don't give out free ultrasounds for anybody who asks for one. Our doctors have asked us, for liability purposes, that we keep it to under 14 weeks, or someone who's on the fence of choosing life.
Okay.
But it has been meaningful. Mothers have seen their babies dance on the ultrasound screen and have chosen life. But sometimes even that is not enough, sadly.
It's it sounds like it's a very powerful.
Very
weapon.
powerful.
You're happy that you have
Yes,
it.
very.
Now, do you have one of those in all the locations?
No. That is a huge, generous donation from the Knights of Columbus, and we have another one down at Warminster. But the other offices, the one down in Wayne only is 450 square feet, so there's really no space for it.
Okay.
And the one at Jeffersonville, it's just too close to here, so wouldn't justify the cost.
Okay. Now, you started this 13 years ago, like you said, just had the idea, let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of experience at this. For people out there that might have this similar kind of movement of heart, they think they want to do something like this, what kind of advice could you give them?
Well, I can only speak from the experience of what has worked for a baby's breath. There might be other formats that work that, click together somehow, some way. But one of the key things about a baby's breath, I was homeschooling 2 children and expecting my 4th when I founded a baby's breath. So the system had to work with that schedule. Mm-hmm. And it does. So we utilize everyone's spare time efficiently.
Okay.
It's not meant for a 40-hour paid position. We wouldn't have...
This is not a 9 to 5 kind of organization.
No. If you go into a doctor's office or, anywhere, there's downtime. Mm-hmm. So we're not paying for lunch hours or coffee breaks. Okay. We're paying for just the center to be open and volunteers to have a place that they can meet with clients and do what we do. It's the bare minimum of necessity. Mm-hmm. So we don't offer the daycare, but we refer for the daycare. Okay. We don't offer the housing, but we refer. We don't offer many of the services. We're the front door for many services.
You have the connection to those services.
We have a website database that I mentioned, that all the resources are uploaded to it. All the information is accessible from home, and it keeps track of all the baby dollars, which is awesome. Okay. So at a push of a button, every client has their record and what credits they have available to go spend in the baby store, which is hugely helpful.
And when we finish here, I want you to, if you don't mind, take me to the baby store again, because I want to show everybody how this is set up. I thought it was amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's just everyone has certain things that they like to do for us. Some women, all they like to do is fold the baby items and get them stored away. And some just want to work directly with the clients. Some want to do a combination of both, but some just like to fundraise. I mean, it might not be your thing, but some people, all they know or want to do is raise money for what we do. And so I make sure that everybody's job is not so overwhelming, and there's minimum footstepping. So
well, and it sounds like you try to find what they would be comfortable with. What
Absolutely.
They would like to do.
Absolutely. There's a cycle to the year, and we have an open house annually to each center, and that's what is the influx of the new volunteers. Then they either train to be an advocate, or we plug them into the fundraising for that center. There's one fundraiser per center. That's kind of the formula for each of Baby's Breath. They have one only, because I don't want this to be a perpetual fundraising machine. It only needs X amount of dollars to run, and that's all we should strive to raise. But that happens once you have the open house, and then for people that feel inspired to be more, then we have a leadership course, and that happens in March. And this helps us transition, because you plan for change with one of these centers. You have to constantly plan for change, because life happens and schedules change. And if you don't have a formula that's flexible enough, that can adapt to change, it's going to be really difficult, you know. And there's times when your services will shut down if everything hinges upon one person being there or not.
Yeah. Okay.
You understand?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So yeah, if everything depends on that person, life happens to them, they're sick, they have to move, any number of things can happen, and all of a sudden, crumbles.
I was director for like 3 years on this shift, and it's a weighty position to be in when you're intently involved with all the cases. Very, you know, you want to pass that along.
Okay.
You don't want to like not have it be available. You want to be able to pass it along, and that's what's just happened here at Collegeville. Mary Ann McDonald was our director, and she just passed it along to Susan.
Okay.
And it's seamless, you know, because Susan was at the leadership course, you know. And
okay, good.
yeah.
Final thing I want to ask you before you go show me the baby store
Okay.
is people that want to get involved, either as volunteers or some people that just really, for whatever reason, they don't want to get personally involved, but they'd like to support the mission, either with donations of money or donations of products.
Okay.
How do they do that?
That would just simply be calling one of the centers and see what's needed.
Okay.
I leave that to the director to figure out what the baby store is running low of. But if they want to be a sponsor, this would be the most meaningful thing, to become an annual sponsor for like the annual fundraiser. That's what gives us some consistency between years.
This is usually when you say a sponsor, like a company or an
if you have a local business, and what we do, we sell advertising space on the backs of T-shirts. So your company or whatever gets recognition. We've had memorials. We have an entire run, Johnny's Run for Life, that benefits the Wayne Center. Okay. So a family remembers their child, and with that run. Okay.
So, first of all, I want to thank you for your time today. People can find you on the website at
www.ababiesbreath.org.
And you also have, we'll put the links in the article, a Facebook page as well.
Facebook group. There's fan pages, not to be confusing, and a LinkedIn group.
Okay, so a lot of ways to get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Let's go look at the baby store.
All right.
Okay, Karen, so here we are in the baby store. Is that what you call it?
Yes.
All right, so give me a quick tour, because this place is amazing.
Well, all the donations that get brought into the center through the various collections at churches and whatnot get sorted and sifted and put into organized bins, so that when moms and dads come to the center for services, every time they walk through the door, they acquire baby dollars. So we do a supply and demand assessment of how many baby dollars get attached to each item. And for the items that move out of here rather quickly, they get assessed a higher baby dollar value. I would say the diapers and the wipes are the things that are the most highly sought after things. The clothing that you see against the wall, they have, many of them, still the tags on them. They're totally free, because we don't want to stockpile new and used clothing. So there is a limit to how many they can take with them, but there's no child that goes without clothing that comes to us. But everything you need to take care of a baby, we pretty much can set them up with. And this is the reward for learning about how to become a responsible parent and taking the time to do that, to learn their budgets and all the hard work of what parenting is.
So you talked about earning baby dollars, so they do that, like you said, just walking in the door gives you some, but taking classes.
Yes, if they do tutoring, which we can offer here directly, but mostly our widely used services of parenting and prenatal classes and individual pregnancy counseling.
Okay. So we'll do one sweep of the most popular part of the store here. Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that baby wipes are the most popular. Diapers and baby wipes. And do you have, at each location you have a baby store?
Yes.
Like this? Okay.
Initially, when we came up here, we didn't. And then it is just that important to have something, a reason for them to come in.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the tour.
Thank you.